All right, y'all may be seated. Is it on?
I don't think it's working.
Switch.
Hello? Hello?
Switch.
Hello?
There it is.
Hello?
Yay.
All right.
Yay.
Hopefully this doesn't give me too much feedback. We were originally going to have Autumn and Gabe circle each other, but the logistics of women's clothing is still not something with which I'm familiar. So we made a last minute. Anyway, welcome everybody. I've seen a lot of these speeches start with, we're gathered here today to, yada, yada, yada. But I feel like if you don't know why we're here already, then, what are you doing here? My name is Lewis Conley. I am honored to call myself a friend of both Autumn and Gabe, who, of course, together are known as Got 'em. And of course, this day is about Gabe and Autumn, their love and commitment to each other. But before I get to them, I'd like to acknowledge some family members that are here, and also some that aren't here. I've known Gabe's parents, Josh and Joanne, for pretty much my whole life, and I can only imagine how proud you both are of Gabe today, who is in fact one of their two top favorite sons. And then Dina and Dave, we've only just met a couple times, but I see the kindness and grace with which Autumn conducts herself, and it is undoubtedly a testament and reflection on the home and world from which she comes. And I'd also like to have a moment of silence for those who have passed on, who include Autumn's father, Russell Baker Sr., Autumn's grandparents, Jean and Jiggs Bourne, and Gabe's grandparents, Claire Weinberg and David Katz. And beyond just thinking of them, we can also open our thoughts to those killed overseas this past week, which I know has been weighing heavily on many who are here. I also want to acknowledge two people that could not be here today. One is Grandma Pat. Autumn's grandmother is down in Florence, Alabama in an assisted living facility. I met Grandma Pat one time down in Memphis. We were on a party bus for Autumn's birthday, and the first stop was at Grandma Pat's house. And to say that she is a force to be reckoned with would be a vast understatement. And I just want to say to everyone on Autumn's side of the family, I watched those, Just Say No high school specials, and I always thought that peer pressure would come from, some tattooed, back alley, in the middle of the night person, not a smiling, kind old lady. But we miss her today. And then I wanted to mention also Grandpa Fred, who's Gabe's grandpa on Joanne's side. I've known Grandpa Fred for almost 20 years. He took me and Gabe to New York City, my first time ever visiting the city. He took us to Katz's Deli, no relation, to an authentic New York homemade pickle store, a candy store with candy all the way up to the ceilings. And I remember fondly the time he took me and Gabe to a driving range, and I sliced a golf ball as hard as I could squarely into the middle of his left butt cheek. He slowly turned around, and the look he gave me was, that was the end of my very short professional golf career. I was very sad a couple of weeks ago when I heard from Gabe that he was back in the hospital and maybe only had a few more days left. And then when I found out he was still going strong today, I realized he must be showing the nurses one of his slideshows. Those poor nurses. He's probably only halfway done, maybe on Mount Blanc. Today's a celebration of Gabe and Autumn, of love itself, and the life they are entering from this day forward. But one of the ways that I know and that we know that love is real is that feeling of those that we have for those when they go away. My father is here today, has been married to my mother for almost 45 years. He called me a couple months ago to tell me that my mother had left him and that he was lonely. She's here, by the way. What he meant was that he had left him for the weekend. But I submit that that is relationship goals. I hope and I know that in 45 years you're still going to be wanting to be around each other enough that 4 days apart feels like a lot. Now, I've known Gabe since we were in kindergarten. We were the only two Jewish kids in Mrs. French's class. And while the other kids were finger painting, Gabe and I were learning our credits and debits and taking intros in contract law for Katz, as do all young Jewish people. So suffice it to say, I've known Gabe for a long time, and he was actually living with me in Memphis when he first started seeing Autumn. And I immediately could tell something was different. He wasn't saying "ope" as much. He was not as often telling me what planes were flying over the house, the history of the companies that built them. And I realized that he was busy hanging out with Autumn and texting with Autumn. And when I met her, I realized why. Autumn is perennially positive, charismatic, upbeat, fun, and confident. And most importantly, according to my mother, she puts up with Gabe. Gabe, beautiful boy. It's funny, I was trying to remember back when Gabe and Autumn started dating, but Autumn and Gabe were and are such a good match that it felt to me as though she had always been an integral part of our crew, so it was hard for me to remember her joining because it feels like she was always there. And so, standing up here, espousing life lessons and love as someone who has never been married, currently single, and let me say that again, currently, I see a lot of moms and daughters out there, currently single. It felt a little wrong to be giving life lessons on love, so I reached out to some older married couples that I know and asked if they had any advice for you, and what are the keys to a happy marriage. A friend who's a priest said, in his experience, mutual care and respect were the most important. Our friend Billy's mom said to make sure to always be your spouse's champion. And when things get tough, don't forget that you are partners and you must and can work together to solve everything. My boss from work merely said love, which was not the most actionable advice. He is also not very helpful at work. Our friend Kelsey's dad said that open and honest communication is the most important thing, and that you can't be a team if you aren't fully transparent with one another. And then finally, my father's advice was have 4 sons. Specifically, I cannot in polite company tell you the physical techniques he described to achieve this goal, nor do I think any child should hear this from their parent, and now I'm going to need a lot of therapy. For what it's worth, for me, the relationships that I've seen that work and last are the ones where the people frame their reference points together as a couple and are constantly aware of what the other one wants and needs. What do they want to eat, not what do I want to eat? What can we do together that would be fun, not what do I want to do for fun? I wish you a long and happy life together, that you may have the strength and perseverance to persist through challenging times, and that you'll remain patient, compassionate, and loving forever and always. Now, quick announcement. After the ceremony, we are going to take a group photo, so do not run away. That is not the end. And then the reception is up the hill, slightly to the left. Follow the other people who know where they're going. Let's see. Okay, so this next part we have a reading from Autumn's stepfather, Dave. Dave, where are you at?
A prayer.
A prayer.
A prayer.
A prayer.